But we are going to protect Christianity. And if you look what's going on throughout the world, you look at Syria, where if you're Christian, they're chopping off heads. You look at the different places, and Christianity, it's under siege.
Donald Trump today at Liberty University vowing to protect Christianity as he tries to appeal to evangelical voters. Well, his biggest rival in the polls for the evangelical vote is, of course, Senator Ted Cruz. But did Trump help himself in this subplot of the Republican primary?
Let's bring in Newsmax's chief political correspondent, John Gizzi. John, thanks so much for joining us. Donald Trump was on ABC News show this week, and he's ramping up his attacks on Ted Cruz. Let's take a listen.
Look, the truth is he's a nasty guy. He was so nice to me. I mean, I knew it. I was watching. I kept saying, come on, Ted, let's go, kid. But he's a nasty guy.
Wow, these are some of the harshest remarks that we have heard yet from Trump when it comes to talking about Cruz. John, do you think this new strategy will work for him?
No, I don't really. The fact is that if you like Ted Cruz at this point, nothing, least of all Donald Trump's salvos, are going to undo your affection for the candidate from Texas. The same could be said of Mr. Trump as well. The attacks are just not going to deter his supporters in the primary, so I think it really is much ado about nothing. I will say that the whole exchange between the two of them is what is making what many in the punditocracy say come true, a Cruz-Trump fight for the anti-establishment vote in the Republican Party, which is very substantial.
Well, John, shortly after Trump's appearance today, or maybe it was even this morning, the New York Times published an article saying evangelicals see Donald Trump as a man of conviction, if not faith. They also talk about a recent poll the Times conducted with CBS News, and it shows Mr. Trump, and these are their words, a Presbyterian, dominating the field with 42% of evangelical voters. Mr. Cruz was in second with 25%. The article also quotes a 67-year-old retired police officer named John Juvenal, who says he, Mr. Trump, is the only one who can pull us back from the abyss. Does that sum up Donald Trump's appeal to evangelicals, that it's more about his efficacy to win, more so than his purity as an evangelical?
I think so, because one thing about Mr. Trump is he freely admits a very freewheeling past in his own life, and yet he has spoken on many occasions about his Presbyterian faith, particularly about the influence of Dr. Norman Vincent Peale on his life. And Dr. Peale, of course, appealed to many of the Protestant faith for 2 generations. And I think this is someone who knows God and is not afraid to talk about it, albeit admitting he's a flawed person. That is apparently resonating with voters. Now, whether that translates into winning numbers in the Iowa caucus, where, as you know, the evangelical vote is significant, one can't say.
Right, and I want to talk about those numbers because John just brought up that poll, but there's another poll that came out, NBC News and a Wall Street Journal poll, shows that only 51% of Trump's supporters say they will for sure vote for him. Why do you think that is, and how can he solidify his support?
Well, once again, if I knew that, probably I would be advising the Trump campaign at this point on how to do it. No one who runs a campaign in the Hawkeye state of Iowa can really guarantee that their supporters will turn out at the polls. And I can tell you that the last 2 outcomes of the Iowa caucuses, and I was there for both of them, were utter surprises to everyone on the ground. Mitt Romney seemed a slam dunk in 08. Mike Huckabee won easily. Mitt Romney seemed like he was going to run away with it in 12. Well, we didn't know for 2 weeks that Rick Santorum had won by a handful of votes. And no one was putting any money on Santorum before the caucuses began one cold evening in Iowa. So I have to say, no one really knows who'll turn out.
Yeah.
And that's been a pattern for a long time.
Yeah, those voters can break one way or the other pretty late there, John. But who do you think needs to win Iowa more, Cruz or Trump?
I think Ted Cruz does, if for no other reason than he is being ballyhooed as the front runner in Iowa And he's certainly the person who's invested the most. The Cruz brigades now number 9,000, I read, and he has put so much time and energy in the state that a loss there or even a narrow win would send him into New Hampshire wounded. A big victory would put him in a strong position, although he's still got a way to go to win in my native New England.
All right, well, yeah, as you know, John, a much different set of priorities for the voters in New Hampshire as opposed to Iowa. We'll look forward to it, and for that last 11th hour surprise there in Iowa, as we always see every year. John Gizzi, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, coming up next, the UK Parliament debates whether to ban Donald Trump. Also, Prime Minister David Cameron says the wives of Muslim immigrants better learn English or else. We'll tell you what that else could be. Plus, how did he do today at Liberty University? During our special debate coverage, I gave him a C+. What does our roundtable say? We'll take a look at that coming up.